New funding model amid cocoa purchases challenges and cholera vaccination campaign begins after nearly 4-year global suspension in Mozambique. A very good evening to you. Welcome to News Hour, coming to you from Broadcasting House here in Accra. My name is Gift AJ, and the news is also streaming live on Facebook at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation and GTV Ghana. In our very first story, Parliament has passed the 24-Hour Economy Authority Bill 2025, giving legislative backing to one of the flagship policies of the John Mahama administration. The approval followed intense debate between the majority and minority caucuses, with government insisting the policy would drive jobs, productivity, and economic growth. Whilst the minority cautions about possible security and implementation challenges, the majority maintains that safeguards are in place. The bill establishes a 24-hour economy authority to coordinate nationwide round-the-clock economic activity.
An act to establish the 24-Hour Economy Authority to implement the 24-hour economy and accelerated export development program and provide for related matters.
Honourable members, the 24-hour Economy Authority Bill 2025 is duly read for the third time and duly passed.
Majority caucus of the National Democratic Congress in Parliament is happy to announce to the world that we just passed the 24-hour Economy Authority Bill. The promise to transform the economy so that the economy will become a major employer, providing jobs and livelihoods for the millions of youth who teamed to vote for the National Democratic Congress. Indeed, jobs were flying out of the country because the volatile currency situation that we saw led to many factories opting to leave the country to go and relocate at places where there was better stability. As you can see, we are dealing with all the fiscal issues that will stabilize the economy so that industry can prosper. When industry prospers, a lot of jobs will be created. We have injected capital into the financial sector. ADB, NIB, all the government banks have received major capital injection running into billions of Ghana cedis. You know that we operate under a constitutional system and everything must be backed by law. Every authority must be exercised on the basis of an existing law. That is why, for us, it's a matter of great joy that ultimately this Parliament has passed the 24-hour Economy Authority Bill. To provide the regulatory regime and to provide the legal mandate for the formalization and implementation of the 24-hour economy. So, 24-hour economy has come.
Now, the High Court in Accra hearing an interlocutory injunction application filed by the Vehicle Enforcement Association of Ghana against the DVLA for rolling out a digital or new vehicle number plate registration system has adjourned hearing to February 13. The adjournment follows failure of the second defendant in the case, Original Manufacturing and Endorsement Company Limited, to appear in court.
The application for interlocutory injunction filed by Bemenco Endorsement Limited and 26 other plaintiffs, all members of the Vehicle Endorsement Association of Ghana, VMAG, is to stop the DVLA from going ahead with the planned rollout of digital or any new vehicle number plate registration system this year until the court determines the merit of the case. The applicants also want DVLA prevented from implementing any alternative arrangement for the embossment and supply of vehicle number plates outside the existing framework involving them. The applicants have described the decision by DVLA to introduce new number plates as illegal, discriminatory, and an abuse of administrative authority, particularly in overlooking dozens of Ghanaian-owned companies that have invested heavily in the sector. They warned that the DVLA's action could have severe socio-economic consequences. They argued that members of the association collectively employed over 3,000 workers across the country, and that disengaging them abruptly would jeopardize livelihoods nationwide. They also expressed concern that the public could be inconvenienced at the start of the new year if the DVLA is unable to register vehicles and issue number plates due to the injunction. VMAX states that as part of the approval process, members were required to acquire specialized embossment equipment that met DVLA specifications at cost ranging between 70,000 Ghana cedis and 1 million Ghana cedis per unit. The applicant also asserts that over the years, the embossers have pre-financed the production of vehicle number plates, producing and supplying plates to the DVLA, which sells them before settling payments to the embossers. The court was expected to give its ruling to the interlocutory application on January 23. However, on that day, lawyers of VMAC indicated to the court that they had been served a rejoinder application by Original Manufacturing and Embossment Company Limited, the company contracted to implement the new number plate system. Consequently, the court had to adjourn business for that day in order for the parties to amend the application to include Original Manufacturing as the co-defendant in the application. The case was then recessed to February 6th for continuation. On the morning of Friday, February 6th, when the application was called for hearing, neither Original Manufacturing nor Embossment Company Limited or its lawyers were present for proceedings. The development forced proceedings to be adjourned to February 13 to allow the court to deal comprehensively with the matter. The court also ordered hearing notice to be served on the company ahead of the adjourned date.
Away from the court, President John Mahama has heightened the cultural significance of Ghana's smoke, popularly known as fugu, during an interview on the sidelines of his 3-day state visit to Zambia.
Okay, it's called the smoke in English, but in our language, some people call it fugu, some call it batakari. Yeah. Now, this is a traditional dress that is made by a local industry. It's part of our culture. And so, in the past, it was worn by kings, royalty, and also warriors. When our warriors were going to war, they wore smokes. And the belief was that the smokes were soaked in some herbs and then some spiritual thing was done. So when you fire a bullet, it can't penetrate, you know. And so the smoke portrays a lot of things in our culture. And significantly, on the day Ghana, the first sub-Saharan African country to gain independence, on the day our independence was declared, our president, Kwame Nkrumah, was wearing a smoke. He and all the freedom fighters were wearing smoke. So smokes have become an integral part of our cultural identity. And I want the smoke to the United Nations, the highest platform in this world. I'm surprised that Zambians didn't see me in a smoke. Last September,
came closer.
Yeah, when I gave the speech that everybody's talking about, I was wearing a smoke. I'm surprised that he didn't notice it till I visited Zambia. But the smoke weavers in Ghana will be very happy because I, by power of social media, have giving them branding and marketing that they couldn't ever have dreamed of ever getting, and I'm sure that by the time I leave here, the number of searches for fugu, batakari, and smoke, is going to be quite high. And it was just because of an innocuous statement. People were commenting about my arrival, and one person said, "Oh, but what blouse is he wearing?" That's it. And it triggered a whole social media firestorm. But incidentally, you know what? When I arrived, we exchanged gifts, myself and President Chilema. He gave me a beautiful carving.
Thank you.
I know something, the fugu is appropriate because you see the sleeves are very big. And then from under 2, when the weather is hot, you are able to get ventilation, you know, from it. Yeah.
Excellency, thank you so much.
In a related story, a historian and private legal practitioner, Mr. Yao Anoche Frimpong, is urging government officials, Ghanaians and Africans at large to embrace their culture and identity. Speaking to GBC News in an interview, he stressed that a lack of education and an excessive taste for foreign culture have contributed to the mockery of elements that form part of a country's cultural identity.
The people of Zambia would have known that the first president of Zambia, Kenneth Kaunda, was given a smock by Kwame Nkrumah. He was always wearing the smock. He was also given a jump by Kwame Nkrumah, and he was always wearing it on official days. And his autobiography, Zambia, you will see that is that he wore. So it's a very big shame upon the youth of Zambia. That's not what I want to say, that the time has come for Ghana as a country to transport our culture to every part of the continent, because we deal a lot with China and the Western countries, and we deal very little with our own. Don't know what is happening on the African continent. That is why the youth of Zambia, they do not know that this dress was the one used to declare independence, and it is more or less an official dress for about 5 West African countries. So we need to trade more with other African countries. Number 2, I am suggesting that the Parliament of Ghana should go very traditional. We should make members of Parliament wear the smock, and the females to do the female type of the smock. You go to Parliament, they are wearing suits. Please, you don't go to British Parliament to see them wearing kente or batakari. So if we are African, we should always be African. What they have done, on one hand, we castigate them for not knowing what is happening in other African countries. The other hand is that we haven't done more. We haven't done enough for ourselves. And it should start from Parliament.
In our politics, the race to elect a candidate to contest the March 3 Ayawaso East constituency parliamentary by-election on the ticket of the governing National Democratic Congress has reached fever pitch, with all the 5 aspirants desperately seeking to swing some votes in their favor.
The stakes are high in this internal party contest, since whoever emerges victorious in tomorrow's primary has a chance to represent the people in Parliament, given the NDC's strong control over the constituency. The aspirants for the much-anticipated showdown are the widow of the late Member of Parliament, Hajia Amina Adam, Ghana's High Commissioner to Nigeria, Baba Jamal Mohammed Ahmed, and Dr. Yakubu Azendo, both of whom contested the late MP in the last NDC parliamentary primary, Mohammed Rami, constituency chairman, and Najib Mohammed Sani. The last NDC parliamentary primary, held in 2023 for the 2024 general election, was won by the late MP Nasser Touari, who polled 452 votes, representing 44.93%, to defeat Baba Jamal, who secured 309 votes, representing 30.72%, and Dr. Azendo, who obtained 242 votes, representing 24.06%.
In the heart of Greater Accra, Ayawaso East is at a crossroads. The sudden loss of its Member of Parliament has sparked a renewed call for change. Residents aren't talking politics. They are talking solutions. Water shortages, sanitation problems, congestion, security fears, and youth unemployment. The list is long, but the message is clear. It's time for an MP who delivers. As the constituency gears up to choose its next leader, the verdict is unanimous. Development must be more than just a campaign slogan.
You look at Nima, we don't really have spaces for infrastructure and other stuff. So we are seeking for human development, you understand? We are looking for someone who is ready to develop the people in terms of education, improve health, the standard of living in the constituency. Those are the kind of things we are looking at. Yes, so human development is very, very key. So currently campaign has not officially started. So when campaign starts, we will look at them and we'll look at the best person who suits our interest, then we'll go for that person.
Maybe I ran about car safe fan. Or would in the nine as if we're by Chichero Autumn. Brian says, Bannister, into where the best say. New MP of Bebano. 1 month is I am brim. Yen so area. It's a stress or no so new would you must on my way.
First of all, here is not secure. Looking at our gutter is dirty. I can tell you, we don't even have a people that should be coming here every week or every month to come and clean the gutter here.
Focus more in terms of the education within the community. Now, why do I say so? Most of the children we have within the community, a lot of them do not take education that serious. Sometimes it's even difficult to get them to come to school. And when they are coming to school, the attitude even towards school going is not really acceptable. Some few works that are left to be done within the community, like a lot of the places when you go, there are no gutters, proper drainage system, so they end up sort of throwing water anywhere. Within the community, a lot of the areas you go, there are no toilet facilities, and so what happened is they put in they ease themselves in rubbers and throw them away. Sometimes you are walking, you can even see seats on the floor and all that. I feel like they should champion or they should look into that area.
Madam, I catch on saying here peace like Bibiano okay. Your baby ni bia oba on bet wage my pa yeah papa naza jai.
At Accra's bustling Makola market, traders have been assigned specific spots to ease pedestrian movement, marked by a red line 5 days ago. This afternoon, the Metropolitan Chief Executive of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly was on the ground to inspect the situation.
We're currently at Accra, just opposite the fire station, where the mayor, Honorable Michael Kpakpo, has come to visit the people regarding the red line that was drawn here on Sunday. He's here to see to it that traders have obeyed, and those who have not obeyed, he has asked them to move back. And looking at how things are going, we got to know that traders indeed are obedient to what he has said.
And Saneko Club and Beni Cashier wants to more. On a Beni Cashier wants to more. A shall be on Nagbe. No, money at Chuale, Saneko Club. A care of where I say, no would July say anything. Pony me a who. You will be on Swa. Yasuno a thing. Yakasa young quetchy, young quack, a bit quetchy, a bit so soon quetchy. So a bit quetchy, a bit so quetchy, and until I am times woman higher, Sankayan, ye chalai, near Yakoma, and any problem, and until no more higher son.
Minda, Jano, ye fair she. Ake, amenu shake, as I know she better. Because Kel honey ni or lose life, near no horn, Senamako buy. Ni any come fair, I may have said I'm a woman. Jim of someone by any shop. Jim of someone by national current, equal body honey. It was me. Care Papa, your Excellency John Domani Mahama. Walker, I may have said, now I'm a woman. Nick many Baba Hini and Mammy, where I'm a chop pavement here. Now I'm a pavement test.
Traders who do not go according to what is said, they would be arrested. And if they are fined and they are not able to meet to the condition, they will equally be imprisoned. This is Accra, and I am Confidence Chukwu, reporting for GBC News.
Hello again, you're still watching News Hour, coming to you from Broadcasting House here in Accra. We're also streaming live on Facebook at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation and GTV Ghana. In other stories, a student of Kofodia Senior High Technical School has been stabbed amid unrest at the Eastern Regional Inter-Schools Sports Festival in Kofodia, raising fears of retaliation and heightened security concerns. The victim, Jeremy Appiah, was reportedly attacked by a group of Form 2 students from New Jabin Senior High School whilst eating wache on his way to campus, where he sustained a deep machete wound to the shoulder and bled heavily. Police from the Eastern Regional Police Command quickly responded to the scene and rushed the injured student to the Eastern Regional Hospital, where he is receiving treatment and is reported to be in stable condition. So we'll take a quick break at this point. We'll be back shortly. Please stay with us.
Highly recommended by Ministry of Health, CHAS and GES. Lab tested by Noguchi Medical, field trialed by Atomic Energy Commission. It has no chemical or side effects and is good for all ages and skin type. MedShea is available nationwide. Contact us on 0244892413. This advert is approved by FDA.
Welcome back in business. At the center of Ghana's current cocoa crisis is funding. Ever since Cocoa Board was locked out of the international market, licensed buyers say funding has been unsustainable. As we speak, August 2025 stocks delivered to the port are yet to be paid for, with cocoa bought from farmers funded. With over 300,000 tons of cocoa unpurchased, licensed buyers are therefore calling for an urgent step in reviewing the once vibrant industry again.
Most LBCs were left stranded because they did not get access to funding. 2, those that secure funding did not get off-takers to lift their stocks. 3, LBCs that delivered cocoa to port were not paid early enough, hence servicing high interest costs. And 5, inadequate funding led to high incidence of smuggling of cocoa outside the country. That was for 2024-25 season. The 2025-26 season opened in August with the continuation of the new funding model, which is now 80-20. And what is the meaning of 80-20? 80% of the value is paid upfront to the LBC for farmer payments and other handling costs, with the rest 20% going to Cocoa Board on delivery of stocks to terminal points. However, most of the clients stopped buying as early as November. That is, they left the market, Ghana market, as early as November, which is the peak of the season, either for meeting their contract targets or having delivered cocoa which had not been paid for by Cocoa Board, whilst others complain of high cost of Ghana cocoa. The fallouts of the above scenarios are the following. Stocks delivered to port since December 2025 are not paid for by Cocoa Board, as sales and shipments are not going on. 2, stocks in up-country warehouses which were collected from farmers are not paid for.
Now, cocoa farmers in the Bono East region are crying out for urgent payment of their cocoa proceeds, citing difficulties in affording basic necessities like food, farm inputs, and school fees for their children. The farmers are appealing to the government through the Ghana Cocoa Board to expedite the payment process. They spoke with our Bono East regional correspondent, Samuel Ayama.
Woko bia so ho bia ni sika so de beba obosia ka atia mpo ne timi so ye de a agya wo ni bi kura kwa wenko ho a obenya be sa afia atia so aso ye ho kire ni busia bo ba bia
ha kwakra ye nya no ye nkoko a ye kari akoshela sabe ye senkensa kasika na ye de som ye ho ye de boye ma ho ban ye nsanka e de na si wo Cocoa Board na de be omomma ye hu reason ti a ana de asinti a sabe omo timi fa ye sika enye den ema yen because since at na si ye visa ye be di bronya nyina be sinne almost over 1 month as say ewura busumi mienu kura ye di ayi 2026 busumi mienu ye nte hwe ade mesra ban ne se abai odinga no semfo so bi ko ba no akwa mu kura mpa abai mfa nani anto no so omwa na afi de esa kuafo de nya fra adwuma mu oma ye nsanka eni say ye nsamu aya abu adwuma no mu adwuma so ye nsamu agu wo mu a emfa papa bia enkonko mind esra ne se mfonso na akoba omwae sese sika samia ho kire pa
ne be ko ye bedi kura no ho de maye e kra ya bi so ne se ko fa chede to aduru e ye bia ye ma school fees e yare ya bia na de ko ba bia e be se Ghana ban nanam se ba mo ka bi mo bam se ba mo Ghana ko kwakwafo
ye de esra bare onke kana na ne dire aloko sa no wonhwe na onyi mfiri o ma se ne be ya akwafo adwumade betima to aso 2026 so atontem so.
Now, the Chief Executive of Cocoa Board, Dr. Randy Abbey, has stated the Ministry of Finance is finalizing a new funding module for the sale of Ghana's cocoa beans, emphasizing value addition rather than a continued reliance on the export of raw cocoa beans. The new module is anticipated to be implemented starting with the 2026 to 2027 crop season. Dr. Abbey also clarified that vehicles purchased by the board were funded through internally generated revenue, specifically to support core functions of the various divisions, prioritizing essential operational needs over administrative comfort.
The Ghana Cocoa Board, has faced significant challenges in compensating cocoa farmers for their produce due to various factors. This decision has left Cocoa Board with large unsold volumes, creating a financial gap that could lead to severe deficits if farmers are not paid their current farm gate price. At an engagement with the media to address these issues, the Chief Executive of Cocoa Board, Dr. Randy Abbey, said the Ministry of Finance will soon come up with a new funding module, but not for the beans to be sold in its raw state.
We, together with the Ministry of Finance and Government, have been thinking through a new funding model. A funding model which also will not make us be obligated to sell our beans raw, because under the syndication, you would have to sign contracts for the raw beans, and that is what you use as a collateral. And therefore, if, for example, you were going to do 600,000 tons and you were committing 500,000 tons to sell to buyers as raw beans, how can you in the same breath be speaking about value addition when you know that you're committing about 70-75% of your crop?
Cocoa farmers expressed frustration with the government's local pricing system, which has left them unable to make ends meet despite the soaring global cocoa price. Cocoa Board says so far 530,000 beans have been sold, with plans underway to cater for the rest.
We have another under 50,000 that we are yet to find buyers for, and that is when the buyers started shifting. We have been consulting widely with our sector ministry, the Ministry of Finance, and then government itself. And like I said, we appreciate what the farmers are going through. We know that these are very, very difficult times, but we appeal that they keep faith with us. We would find a solution very, very soon.
On issues concerning vehicles purchased by the board, instead of using the money to pay farmers, this was Dr. Abbey's response.
What we have seen across the country and the needs of this divisions and subsidiaries, I will find it unconscionable that we have not improved the fleet for operational vehicles, and yet I'll be sitting in brand new vehicles. Although it is supposed to be provided for the functioning of my office. These are tools or things that they need to facilitate their work. And so if they have an IGF and they say that this is priority, we need this to be able to deliver, and we decide that then, in that case, then the IGF must be applied to retooling the divisions and subsidiaries with operational vehicles that they require.
These follow concerns raised by the minority in Parliament on Cocoa Board owing LBCs more than 10 billion cedis, leaving many companies cash-strapped, as well as that raised by the Licensed Cocoa Buyers Association of Ghana, LICOBAG.
Away from that story, Ghana's inflation dropped sharply to 3.8% in January 2026, marking the 13th consecutive monthly decline and the lowest level recorded since the rebasing of prices in 2021. This development points to easing pressures across food and non-food sectors, reinforcing signs of growing macroeconomic stability. Some persons on the streets of Accra, however, say this latest inflation figure is yet to find expression in their pockets.
Inflation by over a German swan inflation ya debia and inflecting or a bottom ye who ye bottom due to a dready phony be 3 miles in pa so obeko a former company man for 4 crafon on over chroma open pass boom 2 years ago now monometono a 1.25 and then mona drop here by 75 cedis. That's good. Oh, I don't know nipa no about no more day. But over sugar to add drop it. Over bibi to say anwa sichre bibi a drop it. By about to say entire ni mpaboa sa na ma na ye hu no system nim.
Ye nto ade ma ye. Wa che ye me ton me ba ho 10 o'clock me free house 7:30. Eno kura ensa. Ye nka se ne ma mba form a ye boa. Ne ma ba form I was say so tombi. Ne nya kakra hye ye bottom. Ye enso ye emboye nti e pacho omoye bibim fa ye ho
no kura nyame ne ma ba fom papa ba kola na me ton 50 Ghana se 37 e mo ye ton 1.5 ni 1.2 na aba 50 Ghana 60 Ghana 70 Ghana o no kura nyame nyama ba fom pa obi obeka se nyama board ya no won pa aban no no won pe no aban we ba ye hu se a niam ba fom pa bibia ye kama.
Now, the Ministry of Finance has officially relocated its offices to New Kanda building, Accra. Accordingly, the ministry shall commence full operations at the Kanda offices from Monday, 9th February 2026. According to a statement issued by the ministry, this relocation forms part of ongoing efforts to enhance the operational efficiency, coordination and responsiveness of the ministry in the discharge of their mandates. The new office facility at Kanda was constructed by the Ghana Revenue Authority prior to the current administration assuming office. We now bring you updates from the Forex and commodities market.
Good business means seeing the possibilities and maximizing opportunities. Making sure you have a responsive support system backs your business goals. A partner that gives you a stable platform with reliable connectivity and seamless solutions, and better understands the tools required to take you to the next level. With so many moving parts in running a business, we do our best to provide you with some stability. The only kind of stability you can find with MTN Business Broadband, the fastest and most reliable internet provider in Ghana, making sure you stay ahead and stay connected, because we understand what makes your business tick.
Sign up today on broadband.mtn.com.gh or call or WhatsApp 0244 308 111.
MTN. MedShay, natural mosquito repellent, highly recommended by Ministry of Health, CHAS and GES, lab tested by Noguchi Medical, field trialed by Atomic Energy Commission. It has no chemical or side effects and is good for all ages and skin type. MedShay is available nationwide. Contact us on 0244892413. This advert is approved by FDA.
Welcome back in Energy News. The Energy Commission has uncovered about 98,000 unlicensed solar PV products imported into Ghana through the Tema port, raising serious concerns about revenue losses and public safety. During a working visit to the port, the board chair of the Energy Commission, Professor John Gatti, said the violations occurred between December 2024 and August 2025.
An internal inquiry conducted by the Energy Commission to assess port operations and compliance with standards set by the Ghana Standards Authority, GSA, was completed in December 2025. The inquiry identified several lapses, prompting a working visit by the Commission to follow up and verify issues highlighted in the report. Key concerns include regulated electrical imports lacking valid licenses were initially detained but later cleared without proper authorization, resulting in revenue losses to the state. The absence of a dedicated warehouse for detained electrical goods was further identified as a major challenge, undermining effective enforcement of import regulations. Speaking on the matter, board chairman of the Energy Commission, Professor John Gatti, said steps are underway to review and amend existing laws to impose stiffer penalties on individuals and entities that flout electrical import regulations.
We need to liaise with GRA to see how we can make use of their bonded warehouses, or we need to see that we are able to lease a warehouse, and all these things we need to configure it, because that will come to we will spread that cost to the importer. So we are going to look at it to see which option will be appropriate and in line with the law.
Professor Gatti warned that the influx of substandard electrical products poses serious safety risk to consumers and infrastructure.
If people buy EV batteries which are not within the standard, and then they are not properly in compliance with the law, what it means that we are endangering people who will be using those items, and then the public in general. And you know, the materials used to put those things in place, they can be very toxic and hazardous to human life.
The Energy Commission Board is expected to meet in the coming days to consider the findings of the investigation and roll out reforms aimed at strengthening port supervision, protecting consumers, and safeguarding state revenue.
Now, the policy lead for climate change and energy transition at the Africa Center for Energy Policy, Dr. Charles James Fiofori, has called for reforms in the management of the Energy Sector Levies Act, ESLA, a decade after its implementation. Speaking at a media forum on ESLA, Dr. Fori said weaknesses in the management framework continue to affect the intended impact of the levy. He stressed that meaningful power sector reforms depend on an effective and well-structured system to ensure transparency, efficiency, and sustainability in the use of ESL funds.
Some of the issues that we've raised around the management and then the allocation of funds around ESLA still begs a lot of question around how maybe the ESLA PLC and those other issues introduce a lot of costs around the management of it, and we are happy to see the consolidation of the funds into one window to deal with the how do you call it, with the debts and then the shortfalls management of it. But again, as I mentioned earlier, we can add a lot of money to the ESLA, but that may not necessarily be the biggest thing that can change the future of the power sector. We need to augment that with serious power sector reforms that needs to be done, for us to really have a very stable power sector, and one that is really free from government interventions and government good supports and government liabilities that it has to bear on itself.
Let's now talk health. Government is set to roll out a nationwide free primary health care program aimed at removing cost barriers and expanding access to basic health services across the country. At a consultative meeting with the media, the Health Minister, Mr. Kwabena Minta Kando, said the policy framework is ready and that this would be in fulfillment of a 2024 campaign promise of President John Mahama.
It is estimated that the health needs of the ordinary Ghanaian, the primary health care component, constitute about 70 to 80%. When you have a very strong national health insurance scheme, what it does is that after the free primary health care, that's a primary level, the national health insurance will also help you to assess healthcare be above the primary health care level. So primary health care, strong national health insurance policy. Then you move further up, the non-communicable diseases, which of course, when people get themselves into it, it pulls them into the poverty line. Okay, so hence the establishment of the Mahama Care, so that it will be dedicated towards the funding of the non-communicable diseases. Now, as part of the preventive measures, you go back to the free primary health care, early screening, early detection, sensitization, preventive measures, promotion. So when we come to the promotion, we'll be talking about what to eat and what not to eat at what time.
Now, members of parliament have made calls for renewed healthier lifestyles and stronger preventive measures to reduce the growing burden of cancer. As the world marks World Cancer Day, stakeholders are also urging that ongoing initiatives be strengthened to become a lasting pillar of national health systems.
Cancer is no longer a distant or rare disease in Ghana. It is a growing public health challenge that cuts across age, gender, income level, and geography. In Ablekuma North, as in many other constituencies, cancer does not only threaten lives, it impoverishes households, disrupts livelihoods, and places enormous pressure on our already stretched health system. On this World Cancer Day, I call on this August House to treat cancer as a national development issue. A healthy population is the foundation of productivity, economic growth, and social stability. Let us commit ourselves to a Ghana where no citizen dies simply because they are poor, where early screening is accessible in every district, where cancer patients are supported with dignity, and where initiatives like Mahama Cares are strengthened to become a lasting pillar of our health system.
Yes, I look forward that the Mahama Care Trust or the Ghana Medical Trust would allocate resources properly, and when they do so, it's going to be in the area of enhancing specialist care and setting up of specialist centers. Mr. Speaker, we're looking forward to a point that you may launch an initiative that all will be as ambassadors, just to drum home for Ghanaians to know that two things that can reduce the burden of cancer: drinking and smoking. This and also fruits, healthy eating, fruits and co, and exercise, reducing needless weight gain. This is something that we can all associate ourselves with. And I'm sure that when you rise or charge us to the call, the good people of this country will know that we are here not to only formulate policies or look at allocation of resources, but when it comes to prevention and promotion, the people of, we in Parliament will stand by any initiative to create that awareness.
The health segment was brought to you Kind Ketsi, Jehovah, Trust Herbal Center, and Jam Vita. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, the foreign news will be next. Stay with us. Now to one of our top stories. People in Mozambique are receiving cholera vaccinations after the World Health Organization announced the global resumption of preventive cholera vaccination programs, which had been suspended for nearly 4 years due to a nationwide vaccine shortage.
WHO, Gavi and UNICEF said global stockpiles of oral cholera vaccines rose to nearly 70 million doses last year. The vaccines are distributed free, but were previously used only for outbreaks after a 2022 shortage cut supplies to 35 million doses. A first allocation of 20 million doses is now being deployed, with 3.6 million going to Mozambique, 6.1 million to Congo, and 10.3 million planned for Bangladesh. WHO Director General Tedros Ghebreyesus said the world is now in a stronger position to prevent outbreaks rather than just react to them. Mozambique is a priority after devastating floods last month affected around 700,000 people, raising the risk of cholera. WHO said climate change has worsened the global upsurge of cholera since 2021. The shortage also led WHO to recommend a one-dose vaccination strategy with 2 doses considered case by case. More than 600,000 cholera cases and nearly 7,600 deaths were reported last year. Cases rose each year since 2021 before declining in 2025, but deaths continued to climb.
At least 30 people have been killed in an explosion at a Shia mosque during Friday prayers in the Pakistani capital, Islamabad. The blast at a mosque in the Talali area of the city prompted an emergency to be declared at 3 hospitals in the city, with a government official saying more than 160 people had also been injured. The cause of the blast was not immediately clear. However, reports have suggested it was carried out by a suicide bomber. Now, 3 determined Ghanaian para-athletes are carrying the nation's hopes to Dubai as they make a final push for direct qualification to the 2026 Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, Scotland. The National Paralympic Committee Ghana is in collaboration with the Ghana Olympic Committee has dispatched the 3 together with their coach.
Hayford Adai, a teenage arm amputee sprinter and long jumper who is making his international debut. A second-year student of Konongo Senior High School, Adai has already been turning heads by competing alongside able-bodied athletes at the Ashanti Regional Inter-Schools Athletics Championships. For the young athlete, Dubai represents more than competition. It is a life-changing opportunity. He will undergo his first ever international classification on February 6, seeking confirmation at a T47 para-athlete, a key step in his journey onto the global stage. Coach Emmanuel Anumsoa, who traveled ahead with Adai as part of a phased departure, says the teenager's courage and discipline reflect the fighting spirit of Ghana's para-athletics movement. At the Grand Prix, Hayford will compete in the 100 meters, 200 meters, 400 meters, and long jump events. Zainab Isa will represent Ghana in shot put and discus throw in the F57 women's category, whilst Bochum Kegbe lines up for the 100 meters, 800 meters, and 1,500 meter races in the T54 men's class. NPC Ghana is hopeful the trio will secure qualification to join Tahiru Haruna, who has already booked his place in Glasgow in the para-lifting. The committee has expressed gratitude to the Ghana Olympic Committee for providing the financial support and made the trip possible, describing the Dubai Grand Prix as a defining moment for athletes and a major step in Ghana's Paralympic journey. As they step onto the track in Dubai, these athletes are not just chasing medals, they are carrying dreams, breaking barriers, and inspiring a nation back home.
With just 25 days to start of the CAF Zone 3 Club Championship in Accra, excitement is building across the West African volleyball community as strong indications suggest the 2026 edition could record unprecedented participation.
Male teams. Nigeria is presenting 4 male teams. Burkina is presenting 3. Cote d'Ivoire is presenting 3. Benin is presenting 4. Togo is presenting 2. And Niger is presenting 1. So we have 25 teams for the men. And the women, we have 17 teams. So it's going to be a festival of volleyball. And so for the men's team, I can tell you that it's just the 2 top teams that will qualify for quarterfinals. So you are going to be grouped into 4 groups of 6 teams each. So if you want to qualify for quarterfinals, you must win at least 4. That is the excitement that is coming. This is the first time also that a club is hosting on behalf of the nation for the entire Zone 3. But above all, throughout the Zone 3, since its inception, this is the highest participation that we are getting. And simply because it is Ghana, and possibly because it is Yaakov Ankara, Kofi Idi Adam, and John Mahama. Because they see that the Ghanaian environment is safe, is stable. But they don't know that when I come, it will be much stable than this.
In entertainment, the Ghana Tourism Authority has engaged operators in the restaurant, fast food and food service sector at a high-level stakeholder meeting to address public concerns over the imposition of mandatory service charges. The consultation aims to promote fairness, transparency and boost customer confidence in the hospitality industry.
Mandatory service charges were introduced by some restaurants and food service operators as a way of supplementing staff wages and improving service delivery. However, the practice has drawn public concern over transparency and fairness, prompting the Ghana Tourism Authority to engage industry players to address the issue. The meeting brought together restaurant and fast food operators to deliberate on compulsory service charges amid growing public debate. Discussions centered on the impact of the charges on customer trust, service standards, and the reputation of Ghana's hospitality industry as it thrives to align with international best practices. The Deputy CEO, General Services of GTA, Mr. Ben Ananinsia, emphasized the need for fairness and transparency in pricing.
No matter how good you are today, there's always room for improvement. And again, you are dealing with a business that is global. So people are coming with service standards they are used to from wherever, and they expect the same that when they come here. So we can never rest on our oars and think that we are good enough. We have to put the system into shape and make sure that we are always competing.
Participants also examined global best practices and consumer protection principles while working collaboratively to develop practical recommendations that will guide industry operators toward improved service delivery. GTA reaffirmed its commitment to continuous stakeholder engagement, stressing that collaborative solutions remain key to building a trusted, customer-friendly, and globally competitive hospitality industry in the country.
And finally, one of Ghana's outstanding novelists and tourism promoters, Emmanuel Kofi Akpabli, has been honored at a ceremony in Accra as part of its 50th anniversary celebration. The Ghana Hotels Association shone the spotlight on this academic and media trainer. Kofi has shown Ghana's tourism wealth to the world through travelers and other mediums. The one-time winner of CNN African Journalist Award is a communication specialist, editor, essayist, and an advocate.
Let's award Mr. Kofi Akpabli. Let's put our hands together for Mr. Kofi Akpabli.
What I'll tell those who are interested in tourism from the media perspective is to learn about tourism. Okay, you can be a journalist, but it doesn't just come natural to write about tourism. You have to learn about tourism as well, and you should be able to step beyond your comfort zone. I started writing about tourism not from Accra, but in the north. National Service, that's where I started, and then I got training, I got education, and then I continued. I got a column in the newspapers. I've done books. So those who want to follow my footsteps, they should be encouraged.
Congratulations. And these are the stories making headlines at this hour. My name is Gift AJ. Thank you so much for watching. Good evening.